Hey, yo, hey, we're back with another video. Now today we're gonna be reacting to low wages are killing the working class. My man, Richard Wolff. I love Richard Wolff, man. Richard Wolff is an effective speaker, man. He speaks this. He has studied socialism, Marxism, communism down to a T. He understands it. And because he understands it, I definitely think he is somebody to listen to. So, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. You smash that like button. You smash that like button like you ain't never smashed it before. And we're going to get right into this reaction. I ain't going to waste no more time on y'all. Let's go. Got my notepad, I'm ready.
What about the argument that sort of the employer, the capitalist, takes on risk? So, versus the employee who's just there doing the labor. The capitalist is actually putting up a lot of risk. Are they not, in sort of aggregating this organization and taking this giant effort, hiring a lot of people, aren't they taking on risk that this is going to be a giant failure?
So first of all, there's risk. Almost in everything you undertake, any project that begins now and ends in the future takes a risk that between now and that future, something's going to happen that makes it not work out. I mean, I got into a cab before I came here today in order to do this with you.
Yes.
I took a risk. The cab could have been in an accident. The lightning could have hit us. A bear could have eaten my left foot. Who the hell knows?
But shouldn't I reward you for the risk you took?
No, hold it a second. Let's do this step by step.
Okay.
So everybody's taking a risk. I always found it wonderful. You talk about risk, and then you imagine it's only some of us who take a risk. Let's go with the worker with the capitalist. That worker, he moved his family from Michigan to Pennsylvania to take that job. He made a decision to have children. They are teenagers. They're now in school at a time when their friendships are crucial to their development. You're going to yank him out of the school because his job is gone? He took an enormous risk to do that job every day, to forestall all the other things he could have done. He was taking a risk that this job would be here tomorrow, next month, next year. He bought a house, which Americans only do with mortgages, which means he's now stuck. He has to make a monthly payment. If you make a mistake, you capitalist, he's the one who's going to, you're a capitalist, you got a lot of money, otherwise you wouldn't be in that position. You've got a cushion. He doesn't. If you investigate, you'll see that in every business I've ever been in, and I've been involved in a lot of them.
So you think it's possible to...
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with what I'm going to do it. I'm going to disagree with him a little bit on this, okay? If you're looking at how to buy McDonald's, right? If somebody like stacked up their money to get into the franchise business and decided to go buy a McDonald's, right? Depending on location, it's a McDonald's, so it should sell, right? But it will cost you $1 million to buy the McDonald's and $1 million to set it up. That's $2 million you're already in the drain. Let's say you're somebody that, like, you know, you just started and you're going into you're going into the franchise business, and you only have $4 million to spend, right? You could say that other $2 million is a cushion. You can say that. But then again, the first $1 million, the first 2 years of your business, you're probably going to dive so deep into that $2 million. You spent the $2 million to build it, and then you're going to probably dive so deep into that $2 million to keep it afloat because the cost of labor and things like that, and you have to get the community involved in what you're doing. It's a McDonald's, but you still have to. There are plenty of people who have said that they've bought McDonald's, Burger Kings, all kind of stuff like that. 1 second. Hello? Hello? Anyways, my bad, y'all. But there are plenty of people who have bought McDonald's and Burger King who have said that it was the first 2-3 years was complicated. You got to pray to God to break even. That's what they were saying. Pray to God to break even. So the risk you're taking is still a huge risk. Vince McMahon, when he started WrestleMania, he took a big risk. He took a big risk on whether or not it was going to sell or not. And it sold just enough to where he could pay off all the workers and everything. But he invested, I think, his last dollar into it. Could have lost. And he's had many examples of losing millions. And yes, there is a cushion there. I'm not going to say there's not. But I still think that's more than a risk of you getting in your car driving to work. money lost and money that you can't gain back is still pretty bad. But I don't disagree with everything he said, though. But yeah, I'll just say all that.
You measure risk, or is your basic argument is there's risk involved in a lot of both the working class and the bourgeoisie, the capitalists.
That's right.
And it's very difficult.
The worker would never come and say, because he's been taught right, I want this payment, a wage, for the work I do. And I want this payment for the risk I take.
Well, there's some level of communication like that. You have acknowledgement of dangerous jobs, but that's probably built into the salary, all those kinds of things. But you're not incorporating the full spectrum of risk.
You don't believe that. This country is now being literally transformed from below by an army of workers who work at Amazon, fast food joints. You know what their complaint is? It's killing us. We get paid shit, and it's killing us. There is no relationship, except in the minds of the defenders of capitalism, between the ugliness, the difficulty, the danger of labor on the one hand, and the wage. Let me give you just a couple of examples, because this is my job, this is my life, what I do. All right? The median income of a child care worker in the United States, right now, as we speak, is $11.22 an hour. Median. So 50% make less, 50% make more. The median income for a car park attendant is several dollars per hour higher than that. What does the car park attendant do? He stares at your car for many hours to make sure that nobody comes and grabs it. Maybe he parks it and he moves it around to get it in and out.
Wow.
By any measure that I know of that makes any rational sense, being in charge of toddlers, 2, 3, 4-year-olds who are at the key moment of mental formation, the first 5 years, to give that a lower salary than you give the guy who watches your car.
Yeah.
Come on. I know
crazy.
how to explain it.
That's crazy.
Gender explained, all kinds of issues. The car park people are males, and the child care people are females. And that in our culture is a very big marker.
And I wonder, before he goes on, do you wonder that they pay the industries that most women go into less than they pay the industries that most men go into? Do you think that does play a factor in sexism? That's a question for the comment section. I'm curious, do y'all think that? Because I wonder. Because it is very interesting that all the industries that are very beneficial to the fabric of our thought processes in society, to the modus operandi of how we're going to socialize amongst each other, the people that come in contact with us first and teach us these things, are paid nothing. They're paid pennies, even though that's like the biggest thing in our society overall, education, you know? So it's just not the most lucrative in the moment. So I think that's probably, maybe that could be why it is. It's not the most lucrative in the moment, but let's keep going.
Of what? But the one who said, only the economics professor, nobody else, says this stuff, because in economics, I don't know if you were familiar with our profession, but we have something which we call marginal product. This is a fantasy. I was a mathematician. Before I became an economist, I loved mathematics. I specialized in mathematics, so I know mathematics pretty well. What economists do is silly, it's childish, but they think it's mathematics, very sophisticated. It isn't. But think for a minute what it means to suggest that you could identify the marginal product of a factor of production, like a worker. In the textbook, when it's taught, I've taught this stuff. I hold my nose, but I teach it. Then I explain to students what I've just taught you is horse shit, but first I teach it.
What is the marginal product?
The notion is, if you take away one worker right now from the pile, what will be the diminution of the output? That's the marginal product of that worker.
Okay.
Measured by
the amount of the output that diminishes.
Output of the raw product. Of the product.
Usually in real terms, so physical, not the value. You could do a value, but it's really more the physical you're in.
I mean, there is a transformation thing I'd love to talk to you about about value. It's so interesting.
Yes,
What is
so
value?
I'd be glad to talk to you about value and price and all of that. But I just want to get to this. Hegel, who was Marx's teacher, has a famous line: "You can't step in the same river twice." And the argument is, you and the river have changed between the first and the second time. So it's a different you and it's a different river. You can choose not to pay attention to that. Just, you can't claim you're not doing that. You can't claim that you can actually do that, because you can't. There is no way to do that.
So the
You can't step in the same river twice. I like
You can't just
that.
remove a worker and have a clean mathematical calculation of the effect that it has on the output.
That's right. Because too many other things are going on. Too many things are changing. And you cannot assume, much as you want to, that the outcome on the output side is uniquely determined by the change you made on the input side. Can't do that.
Even in the average, it's not going to work out.
You can take, look, mathematics is full of abstractions. You can abstract, you can say, as we do in economics, ceteris paribus, everything else held constant. But you have to know what you just did. You held everything constant. You know why you do that? Because you can't do that in the real world. That's not possible. You better account for that. Otherwise, you're mistaking the abstraction from the messy reality you abstracted from to get the abstraction.
Facts.
As a quick tangent, if we somehow went through a thought experiment or an actual experiment of removing every single economist from the world, would we be better off or worse off?
Much better off.
Okay.
Economics, and I'm one. I'm talking about myself.
Oh, wow. He said just remove them all. Remove them all and let's start over, because how they see economics is not the way economics is really going. I do notice economics is definitely a conversation that definitely leads to a lot of debate. It leads to a lot of debate because no one really knows truly what works and what doesn't work. We just know that certain things in society need to change. And that's it, y'all. I'm out. Tell me what y'all think in the comments down below. Love y'all to death. Let's get out.